Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about two things I believe in. One is that everyone deserves a day off. And since I do this show 5 days a week, and I do a live chat every day, I very seldom step away from 2A topics, but I'm going to do that today. Today's show's not going to be about guns. Another thing I believe is life is short and you get one go around. So if you find something that brings you joy and you don't hurt anybody doing it, partake of it. And one thing I have found that brings me joy is cars. And people have asked me in the past, hey, you do these chats about cars, you love cars, why don't you review your car on your show? Other gun channels do that. Well, I just haven't been up to doing that until now because it's not something I really wanted to do. But since so many people have asked, I thought I would. Well, a lot of people wanted a review on my 2019 Dodge Challenger. I had a Sublime 2019 Dodge Challenger. I had it done in a Resident Evil theme. And yes, I did match my gun to my car. I'm not a savage. But I traded that car in, so I can't do a review on it. But I do want to do a car review today, so I'll do it of the car I'm driving currently. A lot of people have misconceptions about the car I'm driving currently anyway. They don't understand it, so I thought I'd take the time today to actually talk about it. So today's not going to be about guns. It's going to be about cars. But it can't be about the Challenger because I traded that in.
And this here is what I traded it in on. If you're not familiar with this car, this is a Mini Cooper. If you're not familiar with the Mini Cooper line, this is the Clubman, which means it's basically the stretched out Mini Cooper. It's enlarged or elongated, and it's kind of like the station wagon version of a Mini Cooper. Now this one is also the JCW Works model. If you don't know what that means, well, that means it's kind of the sporty model. This is the one that is kind of more takes after the rally car versions of the previous Minis. Now this car is all-wheel drive. It's got 19-inch wheels on it right now, and it's got Bremo brakes, some big rotors there, as you can see. The tires, I'm not crazy about right now, but I'm going to leave them as they are for the moment. And the wheels, I'm not crazy about. I want all black wheels. These are the two-tones, but I'll see about changing those later. Now, since this is the Clubman, it does have the double back doors here. And if I stick my foot up under here, you'll see that it is a swing-out door, and it swings out whenever you put your foot under there. If I put my foot under there again, it would swing out the other one. Now, one unique thing about this design as far as the hood goes is the lights are actually inside the hood. The hood is cut out for the lights. Now, the engine is a dual turbo 2-liter here. This twin turbo cranks out, depending on which dyno you read, anywhere between 302 and 309 horsepower. They rate it as 301 in America. I think they rate it as 303 or 305 in Europe. But they are notorious for underrating their engines just a little bit for import reasons, but not a bad little power plant in it. The only negative about the dual turbo is since there are intakes on both sides, it doesn't have fog lights. You can't have them, they would get in the way. But these lights are pretty impressive. They actually have a feature in them that mimics a fog light. They are really bright lights. They also have a side light that when you turn corners comes on and illuminates off to your right or your left, whichever way you're turning the wheel. Now, as usual, I had to put a theme on my car. This time, it's Deadpool, as you can see right there on the hood. If you go around here to the side, you'll also see on both sides, I have the maximum effort. I have the Deadpool right there. Of course, got the tire caps here are the Deadpool design. Got a Deadpool there on the gas cap. And of course, got my little Deadpool does not care about your fucking stick family sticker on the back here as well. And the little finishing touch here, my other ride is a unicorn license plate. Right now, I don't have the Deadpool center caps yet. I have those ordered. They're supposed to be in soon. And as soon as I get them, I'll put the Deadpool center caps on the wheels. All right, now that we've looked at the outside of the engine, let's get in it and take a look at the interior. Pardon the really muddy floor mats because we just got done with a snowstorm here. So a little messy as far as the floor mats go. All right, the first thing that strikes you when you open this car is that it's actually quite nice inside. It does have very much of a BMW feel to it, which makes sense since this is a BMW car, but it also doesn't look like every other car. It's got that big round center console there. It has an 8.5-inch screen in it, so you got plenty of room there to see what you're looking at, like your maps and stuff, and you can do dual screen on it. Instead of using a lot of buttons, it uses a lot of toggles. You got toggles down here, and you got toggles up above here. The ones below control the automatic parking, the engine on and off automatic thing that I hate, traction control, your sports setting, all that stuff. And the ones up here control your ambient lighting, your interior lighting, your sunroof, etc. And it does come with dual sunroofs, but only one of them really opens. The leather seats in the car are very nice. They're made from a good high quality actual leather, not a faux leather. And they have that little insert there at the front that moves forwards and backwards to give you more support for your lower legs. So it really does have a comfortable front seat. And what might surprise some people, since this is a Mini, is that it has a very roomy and comfortable back seat. This is the Clubman model, so it's extended, so you got a lot more room for the back seat there. Since it's a four-door car, it's easy to get into, easy to get out of, and very comfortable. Now, this car does have the upgraded Harman Kardon stereo system in it, so it's got a lot of extra speakers and everything. Really good sound system in it. And it also does have ambient lighting pretty much everywhere in the floor wells, both front and back, and all the cup holders and everything else. And also this insert along the dash and doors that you can see right here, that also illuminates at night, and you can actually change the colors of all of it. I leave it on red, of course, because of the Deadpool theme. As you can see, it does have the center control for all of the systems, like a lot of BMW cars do. And it does have that special shifter that they use. I love this shifter because it's just forward for reverse, backwards for drive, push the button for park. It's a very nice shifter. You don't have to guess which gear you're in or look to see which gear you're in. You can really feel it. So I like the shifter. Now, one thing they did I wish they hadn't done is they went to a digital display behind the steering wheel. I really liked it when that was a big dial. That was kind of the Mini style to me. This is nice, but I kind of actually prefer the old way. Now, the door locks are a little odd, as that they are actually on the door handle. But, just a little different. Nothing wrong with that. And the car does have lots of nice little touches on the outside, like the illuminated handles. It projects the Mini logo onto the ground whenever it's dark outside so that you can see your way to your car. It lights your pathways that way. This car's just got a lot of nice little features, but the best feature by far, the one that I really love about this car, is how it drives. So let's get in it and take it for a ride. All right, we're in the car now, and now I want to talk about how it drives. And this is the big selling point of this car. A lot of people ask me, don't you miss your Challenger? Don't you miss that power? Well, sometimes I miss a little bit of that power, that rumble sound, but there's really nothing that you miss when you're driving this car over the Challenger, because this car is very peppy. It actually has a very nice sound of its own. And when it comes to the way it handles on the road, it's absolutely amazing. So let's get it started up here. And let me talk to you a little bit about what I like about it. I definitely like the little toggle switch to start the car. It's different than a little button. So I like having something a little different. I like the fact that this kind of looks like the inside of an airplane or something with all these toggle switches. As soon as I turned on the power in the car, it cut my phone off. It actually went over to CarPlay attachment, so I had to undo that. But let's get started here, and I'll show you what I mean about this car and why it's so awesome. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you start your car up, as far as I'm concerned, is this little toggle switch over here. Push that up to sport. You're going to want to do that. In fact, I don't see any reason to not run it in sport at any time, unless you're trying to get maximum gas mileage. But who cares about that? You don't buy a small car with 300 plus horsepower because you want to maximize your commute value. Now, where I live right here, my driveway leads out to a private road, which is non-maintained. We haven't maintained it in a while. So it's not exactly the smoothest road in the world, but it's comfortable in the car. I mean, this car is not by any means a Cadillac when it comes to ride,
but it's handling the potholes. It's not bottoming out. It's not a particularly super low car. It's all-wheel drive, so I don't got to worry about slipping or anything. But, you know, on the back roads or rough roads like this, you're going to feel them, but you can feel confident in knowing you're going to probably get through them, unless you run into like mud up to your door frame or something. All right, we're now out onto the paved road, which is right off the private road that I live on. And as you can see, not exactly a straight road. And this is where this car excels. I mean, it's great on the highway, but on these little back roads right here, where you can just zip around the corners, it's just, and it holds to them like it's glued to the road. This is where this car really shines. And since I live out windy ass country roads that, you know, aren't the best paved and usually aren't the best plowed either when we have snow, that's why I want that really grippy four-wheel drive, the 4-all system that this car has, and why I love that four-wheel drive. Another reason is that you're less likely to get stuck in the snow. Not just that it grips around corners and delivers the power when you need it, but it really handles better. When I had to pull this thing out on icy roads the first time it snowed up here after I got it, it just did fine. So was really impressed with how it handled the ice and the snow. A real big difference from my Challenger, because when people ask me, how does the Challenger do in the snow? The answer is, it doesn't. If there's an inch of snow on the ground or ice, you don't want to be driving the Challenger. Just something you didn't want to do. Another thing about this car is it has those big Brembo brakes on it, so stopping this car is no problem whatsoever, no matter how fast you're going. As you can see there, no problem getting the car to stop, problem getting my holder to hang on. But with those anti-lock brakes and those big old rotors and those Brembo pads, this thing stops pretty much on a dime, to use the old expression. So really good, not only at getting going, but it's stopping as well. All right, now this corner right here, I used to have to slow down to 25 miles an hour around in my Challenger, or my front wheel starts stuttering. But here it does just fine. And now let's give it a little gas to see how fast we can get going in this little 1/10 of a mile area here. There, we just hit 100 miles an hour in that little 1/10 of a mile spot there. So it's got get up and go. We started at about 45, hit 100 in very little time there. A lot of people like to talk about how fast a car will go from 0 to 60. I like to know how fast they'll go from about 50 to 100, because that's your passing power, that's your passing speed, you know, and that's what I really actually care more about. I'm not so much about being able to beat someone out of a traffic signal as I am being able to safely pass and then re-enter the lane on the highway or on 2-lane roads like this. And speaking of Challengers, there's one right in front of us. And if we wanted to on this road, we could dust that Challenger, because that Challenger just can't hold the road. Now, when we got up on the highway, he could lose me. But he would only lose me if he was willing to top it out, because that car is going to top out at about 165 miles an hour. I top out at 155 miles an hour, and mine is limited. And when it's doing that at 155 miles an hour, you can tell the engine isn't straining. So it's a very quick little car. Now, the Challenger would have the jump on me if it could get its power to the ground. If its back wheels start to spin or give it all, I'm going to beat him off the line even, and probably beat him in a quarter mile if he loses any of that power. Because you got to remember, it's also a heavy car. This car is 1,000 pounds lighter, so big difference there. But top speed on this car, very fast. You don't really, well, I don't think anyone's really going to go 155 in it. I mean, I probably will once. Right now, the fastest I've had it's about 120, and it wasn't straining. That was on the highway, cruising at 120, and felt comfortable. The car felt like it was well within its capabilities, and it was still handling well. So I can't say anything negative about the speed of this car, the handling of this car, or anything about this car, because when it comes to just pure driving fun, this car, if you want to hang those corners and you want to step on that gas every now and then and get a little bit of a speed, and you want to hear a little crackle and pop when you do from that tailpipe, this car is awesome. Now, as far as visibility goes on this car, that's also great. I mean, you've got your windows, you've got the back door windows, You got the side panel windows. You got the dual back. Now, the fact that it is a split door in the back, you do have that little line down the middle, which does reduce your rearward visibility just a little bit. But it's not like anything's going to hide in that spot. It'd have to be the world's skinniest man on the world's skinniest motorcycle, and they'd have to be trying to hide there for you to not see them. So visibility, I'm going to have to say in this car is great. It's got nice sized mirrors. The mirrors on this car are actually bigger than the ones on our Tesla that we just bought, which is a bigger car. It's one of the things I don't like about it is how small the rear view mirrors are. But you can have the camera on in the back all the time on it. But really good visibility. The rear view mirror is good. It's not like getting in a Camaro where you feel like you're looking through a slit. So overall visibility, really nice on the car. One thing I'll add to the visibility is due to the dual sunroofs here and how much glass there is around you, you really do feel like you're not cut off from the outside. In a lot of sports cars, the Camaro being one that I've mentioned multiple times that has this issue, you really feel like you're basically in a bunker looking out a couple of slit windows to see what's outside. You don't feel really connected to what's going on around you. In this car, it's kind of like sitting in a fishbowl. You can see out pretty much anywhere you look, so that's really nice. And like I said, the dual sunroof here gives you plenty of open skies above you, makes you feel like you're outside, but the windows are tinted so you don't get that heat rash on the back of your neck. So I'm going to give it good marks for that also, just because I really like to feel when I'm in my car like I'm not completely cut off from what's going on around me. Another thing people like to know about is how ergonomic is it? How easy is it to reach everything? Well, in the Mini, you might expect, nothing's too far away. It's all very easy to actually get a hold of. The only thing that's a little odd is that the lock and unlock is actually on the door handle. I found that a little strange, but you know, I don't dislike it. I just found it to be a little different. And you know, your audio controls are easy to understand. Your readouts are simple and easy to understand. Your controls on the steering wheel, your paddle shifters, everything is very accessible. All the switches for the light changes, you know, you can change the custom lights in the car, etc. For your sunroof here, everything real easy to get to, real intuitive, real easy to figure out how to use. That's my alert warning me that that car was a little close to me coming around the corner. But it's got pedestrian alert. That's another thing. It lets you know if there's a car breaking the line coming to you. It lets you know if you're driving through the city and a pedestrian steps off the curb. So got a lot of the bells and whistles as far as the nanny state stuff, you know, but you can turn all that off if you want to. I just haven't figured out how yet. Now, another thing people are going to ask about in a small car is how much room is there in the front? Well, you know, I've actually got as much side-to-side room pretty much as I did in my Challenger. Maybe a little less because the dashboard itself is a little thicker here, but the Challenger had a fairly thick and high center dash here, center console, and just didn't leave a lot of room. But I don't find a lot of cars leave a lot of room for me. For one, I like to drive in more of an upright position. I don't like to be laid way back, and I don't like to be arm's length from the steering wheel. So I drive kind of forward and upright, and having longer legs because I'm 6'1", means I don't have a ton of room in any car, but in this car I'm as comfortable as I am in any other, and it does have those really nice comfort seats with the support for your back of your legs. It's just really nice and comfortable. Headroom is fine, as you can see, especially between me and the sunroof here. Plenty of room, and even between me and the console here, I got a good 3 inches, and that's with a hat on. So I don't feel like the roof is scraping my top of my hat or my head while I'm driving, and that's a good thing. All right, I'm actually taking off into a big corner here. It goes into a big curve right as I turn right here. But I want to see if I can come to a complete stop and see if I can make that exhaust make a little noise when we take off. No backfire, but didn't get to that point, but still you can hear it. It's got a nice little roar to it. As I'm accelerating and decelerating rapidly here, please just pass me. Another place this car really shines is in heavier traffic in the city. And if you're trying to park places, it's very easy to park, much more so than the Challenger. It even lets you know when you're getting close to the curb. And if you got a parallel park, it'll park itself for you. Although I felt no need to use that because I can actually parallel park. But it's nice that it'll do that. And it is really nice that you have that extra maneuverability, maybe if you're in a little bit tighter quarters with more cars there. I'm going to let this guy pull out here, and then I'll take his parking space. I always like to park where I've only got cars on one side of me, if at all. If I can find one where I'm not going to have any cars, I'm happier with that. But we're going to use the veteran parking. It's a nice big space. And let me see here. I'll see if I can get close to the curb and let it tell you that I'm getting close to the curb. You don't really see the hood of this car too much, so it's not like the Challenger in that aspect. Oh, there we go. I'm getting close to the curb, so I better stop. I don't know about you, but I hate when someone's watching me and I pull over the curb as I'm parking. Kind of embarrassing. The car definitely does not like the car wash. It is detecting multiple threats. All right, there you have it, a quick review of my JCW Mini Cooper Clubman. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at it as much as I enjoyed driving it. Now, one thing I do want to say to everybody out there is I appreciate all the advice on car buying. And I understand people have strong opinions about cars. It's one of those things people feel very strongly about, kind of like guns. So if you've got an opinion on it, that's fine with me. But don't think I don't understand things already. Like a lot of people say, you trade your car in too much. I've heard this so many times in the last week. You trade your car in too much, and you lose value when you do that because blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I know that. I'm in my 50s. I'm an old guy. Don't you think I know that? I've been through this a lot. But there's a few things in life I'm willing to spend money on. Guns and cars is pretty much it. You know, I obviously don't spend money on clothes or grooming, so I can afford to spend a little money on my car if I want to. I worked my whole life, saved money, invested. I can afford to buy a car every now and then. It's one of the things that brings me joy. So I appreciate the advice, the financial advice, but believe me, I'm not worried about it right now. I know what I'm doing. That might change in the future. I might someday end up having to drive the same car for the rest of my life because finances change. But for now, every couple of years, I can afford to trade my car in, take a few $1,000 loss. Another thing is, I know people, like I said, love certain cars and they like to slam other cars, etc. I like all cars pretty much. I'm kind of like that way with guns too. If it's got an engine and four wheels, I like it. You know, I love all cars. I want an Alfa Romeo. I know they're not the most reliable car, but I want one. And I would understand why anybody else who loves cars would want one. They're fun. So don't worry about telling me, oh, that car's going to have problems with its transmission after 50,000 miles. Well, the way I personally drive a car, I will never hit 50,000 miles because I only keep them for a couple of years. Now I drive about 6,000 miles a year. So that doesn't mean anything to me. Also, people like, I showed the footage there where I just went through the automatic car wash. People on Instagram like, oh my God, let's go wear your paint faster. And I'm like, yeah, and that'll be the problem of the second or third owner, not mine. And the only reason I did that one is because I have a free car wash coupon. If I actually had to pay for it, I never would have done it. I just wash my cars at home with a bucket. But, you know, people love to offer their advice. Sometimes it's good advice. Sometimes it's stuff based on something their dad told them that's way outdated or something they read on the internet that's just plain wrong. So if you like cars and you want to experience a car, don't let other people talk you out of it because a lot of times that talk is just not valid or it's biased because they feel like if they admit this car is good, then they have to admit the car they prefer is no better. And that's something a lot of people don't like to do. Don't worry about that stuff. Same thing with guns. You know, find out what works for you. And if you find something you like to do, like try new cars every now and then, do it because like I said, life is short. Enjoy the things that bring you joy. So with that being said, I'll sign off today as usual by saying, well, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, well, you know, it is what it is. But one thing I will tell you, when you're driving a car you enjoy, a fun little car, a truck, whatever you like, what life seems to be is a lot better.